the American people stand firm in the faith which has inspired this nation from the beginning. We believe that all men have a right to equal justice under law and equal opportunity to share in the common good. We believe that all men have the right to freedom of thought and expression. We believe that all men are created equal because they are created in the image of God. From this faith, we will not be moved.
Hello, God bless America, and welcome to the Freedom of Thought podcast. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Freedom of Thought is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps. I thank each and every one of you once and always for downloading and listening to this show. Well, it's another, it's a great pleasure to be back on board with you once again today, by the way. But, it's another mobile episode. I'm out kind of in the snow, you could say. Not really surprise, but a late March semi-blizzard, you could say. It happens from time to time, and we had kind of we had a very mild winter for the most part with a few cold stretches, and then magically everything does cool down dramatically at the end of March, and here comes a pretty significant snowfall, but that's kind of how things go, I guess, around the neck of the woods in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, Golden Valley, in my case, hanging out around the park area. And that's just kind of how sometimes I record the show this way. I like to record it, quote unquote, in studio, but right now I can't, unfortunately. Let's just say it's in use, you could say, kind of, sort of. But at the end of the day, today I want to get into kind of just multiple things, multiple topics. The whole identity politics thing and naming your business that way. I've never understood that. And I'll talk about that a little bit. I just don't understand it. There's an amazing article, Giants of North America. That's the Instagram account. So giving them a shout out and citing them. I'm fighting an article from 1845. 1845. That is insanely long ago. And yeah, it's obviously something though that I find fascinating. And, of course, I'm going to talk about what they had to show because it's officially called Giants of Ancient America. Sorry, almost 21,000 followers. They were actually on the Blurry Creatures podcast quite a long time ago. But yes, he posted an article from 1845. I'm pretty sure he talked about it on the episode way, way back. It was like episode 5 or something, way back at the beginning of Blurry Creatures. But an article 1845 in Tennessee where, let's just say, a very sizable skeleton was found several feet down. So pretty fascinating conversation. Sometimes we're going to have whole shows about this, and it'd be cool if I could get guests, maybe even this person on. That would be amazing if I could pull that off. That would be great. Apparently he's from Dallas, Texas. So, yeah, I would love it. Travis Roy. So, yeah, I'd love to have Travis Roy on the Freedom of Thought podcast, because obviously, like I've said before, this show is not going to be just politics. Of course, there's going to be some, like this identity politics thing. I'm going to have a little something to say about that. And some other amazing stuff, interesting things that have been that have happened kind of recently, semi-recently, but it's like conversation, that a lot of us probably didn't know about, and I didn't even know about until just recently. So, again, after listening to the Final Hour podcast, so something cool came up. Was it John Gapp mentioned this? Yep, he's one of the three people. Obviously, Jim Hammond, Linnea Farrell, who I knew many years ago at Maranatha Christian Academy. Huge shout out to them in case they're listening. Linnea Farrell was just one grade younger than me, and Jim was a gym teacher and baseball, obviously basketball coach, multiple state championships, if you can believe that. That's crazy for the girls' side, for Maranatha Christian Academy. And, of course, associate, you could kind of say senior associate pastor at Living Word Christian Center. He's the son of Mac Hammond, who is like the founder and senior pastor of Living Word Christian Center in Brooklyn Park. Okay, well, that was a long intro, but I guess a lot of little things to get to in that sense. So, again, sorry it's been a while since the last episode. I wanted to kind of do one of these. I wanted to do one inside. And then, I don't know, I've been working like 6 days a week lately, and I don't know, and then I get distracted with other things. And then before you know it, my one day off is over, and it's back to, it's so frustrating. But that's how it is in Biden's America. Obviously, everything costs a heck of a lot more than it should. You get nice raises, and you appreciate them. But then it's like, I don't know, it just doesn't mean as much as it used to. And identity politics have been a huge problem. It's been going on for a while, and it's becoming more and more obnoxious, though. Like, you'll see this brewery, woman-owned. This pizza place, black-owned. This and that. And, black-owned this, maybe Hispanic-owned that. Asian-owned this. Gay-owned that. Homosexual-owned. Woman-owned. Black-owned. Those are the two most common, are the woman-owned and black-owned. And you know what? You know what my policy is when I see that on a company? I'm not going to buy from them. Sorry. You know why? Because if you have to forcibly advertise what you are, one way or another, like if I put Arabic owned, half Arabic owned or white owned, or, half Lebanese owned, half Lebanese, half white owned, if I had to put that, it's like, seriously, do you really have to do that? Is that really necessary? So automatically that means I'm obliged to buy from it, or that should make people more excited to buy because a woman owns it or a black person owns the business? That just doesn't, I don't know. That, to me, that tells you your politics and your views are kind of in the wrong place. They really are. You're a human being owned. That's all that matters. It's a human being owned. You're an honest human being trying to make an honest dollar. That's what I want to buy from. Rather than, somebody who has to forcibly tell you that, it's woman owned, so you should really want to buy it now. That should be even more reason to buy from it because it's woman owned. And 99% of the time, that's going to be somebody who's woke, somebody who's left of center. So, I mean, that just point of view does nothing for me. I think those kind of people need to stop and, they need to stop and get over themselves at the end of the day, no matter who you are. Stop it. Stop telling me that this is owned, that owned. I mean, at the only one exception I may go with is if it said Christian owned. And you hope to God, literally hope to God, that they're telling the truth. They really, that they mean it. They're an actual real Christian. They're not just kind of like, yeah, I'm a Christian. I went to church a couple times. I go on Easter. Sometimes, I went on Christmas Eve once, that candlelit thing. That's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. Candlelit, it's awesome. Noel, I get to sing a little bit, and then, and sometimes there's this cool laser show too, occasionally, like Silent Night or something, with laser show and 80s style guitar. Now, actually, there was that one time, not at that particular service, but it was one of the coolest things ever because, let's just say I'm an 80s kind of a guy. I love the 1980s. Thankfully, the host of Blurry Creatures, Nate and Luke, are huge 80s fans, and I've never met them yet, and I'd like to, but I don't know. It'd be pretty cool if I could, just in case, 1 in a million chance they're listening. Hello, guys, just in case. I doubt it, but maybe someday. Again, hopefully, shout out to Linnea in case she's listening. She said she was subscribing, so hopefully, you never know. Maybe somebody listens and they're like, nah, that was okay. I listened to it once, and then They'd rather get their toenails cut or something, than listen to that. So sometimes that's how people are, I guess. No, who knows? She probably listens though. I think she meant it, and I don't know why I'm going down that weird rabbit hole. So at the end of the day, identity politics for me is it's just an automatic. You're gonna for me. I just want to go the other way when I see that kind of stuff. Like I'm not obliged to purchase from you because you're black, you're gay, or you're woman, or you're this or you're that. It's the only thing again would be Christian owned. And now I keep going down rabbit holes because of that. So I guess right now, something I'd like to do and maybe kind of maybe add a little bit of, you could say it kind of adds a little bit of a sense of direction to the show is we're going to split this up a little bit. So now that generally speaking, I've gotten off the political side, we're going to move into the Giants conversation, Giants, cryptoid, that kind of stuff. So we'll be right back. And we are back here on Freedom of Thought. So yes, we're going to kind of dive in a little bit. Again, like I talked about, is Instagram, Giants_of_Ancient America. Travis Roy. So, yep, from around the globe, the word is truth. Accounts from the past. Researcher and historian Travis Roy. Hear me on Blurry Creatures podcast episode 5 and 186. So I've heard episode 5. I'm going to probably catch up with 186. What a great episode. Episode 5 was. I actually have it saved where I can come back to it over and over and over again. So I want to make sure I get the correct article here because there's obviously articles everywhere. No kidding. Yeah, this one. So yeah, it's pretty remarkable stuff. So again, Smithsonian's, particularly back then and now, obviously there's a reason why we never really heard about giants in America growing up, because the Smithsonians of this time, way back in the the 1800s and such, when and even up to today, when people find skeleton, giant skeletons, they tend to come there and say, "Don't tell anybody about this," basically, and then next thing you know, the stuff is gone. It's kind of like the Men in Black type of thing almost, where everything's gone. And it's like, we don't know what the heck you're talking about. Huh? Who are you? Go away. Excuse me, I don't know you. That kind of thing. It's pretty crazy and pretty sad. And actually, that kind of stuff was even going on after people would find it in the past. The Smithsonian would kind of take over. And then next thing you know, it was like, yeah, sorry, buddy. That kind of thing. Don't know what the heck you're talking about. Well, this is an article in, it's 1845, Evansville Journal, Tennessee, massive prehistoric giant, The skeleton discovered in Williamson County, and I'm reading something from 1845, it's pretty cool, in this state, and supposed to be that of a human being, has frequently been referred to within a few past days in the in the House of Representatives, notwithstanding the description of it as Wouter Van Twiller would say. Wow, that's kind of cool how they have references like that. We have our doubts about the matter. Okay, nice. That's and I quote, we have doubts about the matter. This skeleton, so they're even saying, yeah, we kind of doubt it, but wow, that's pretty crazy. The skeleton was found about 60 feet beneath the surface of the earth, embedded in a stratum of the hardest kind of clay, so kind of like a burial type of thing. The bones are said to be in a perfect state of preservation, which probably because of that thick clay, and weigh in the aggregate, these are interesting words, aren't they? 1,500 pounds. 1,500 pounds. Yep, again, talk about Death Adder and Deathbringer and Golden Axe for Sega Genesis. Yeah, those kind of guys. All the large and characteristic bones are entire, and the skull, arms, and thigh bones, knee pad. What did it say? Oh, yeah, knee pans, I believe that's what the word is. Kind of like a kneecap, basically. Yeah, knee pans. Shoulder sockets and collarbones. Remove all doubts. And the animal to whom they belong to has decided to belong to the genus Homo. This gentleman, when he walked the earth, was about 18 feet high. 18 feet high. You heard that again? Yeah. And when clothed in flesh, must have weighed not less than 3,000 pounds. The bones of the thigh leg measure 6 foot 6 inches. His skull is said to be about 2/3 the size of a flour barrel and capable of holding in his captives near 2 bushels. Cavities? Maybe cavities. Yeah, that's incredible. He must have had a goodly quantity of brains. Yep, yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah, he could fit like 2 bushels in his brain. Yep, or his brain would be the cavity. Pardon me. And yeah, because it's not obviously it's not super legible after 160 some years, 70 years, 75 years, 80 years, whatever the heck. It's been a while. This is before the gold rush, folks. Yeah. And if intellect to be in proportion to the size of the brain, he must have possessed extraordinary intellectual powers. And yes, that's another belief as well. The description further states that a coffee cup of good size could be put in the eye sockets. Jeez. The jaw teeth weigh 3.5 to 6 pounds. Pardon me. It is stated that an eminent physician and entomologist is engaged in putting the skeleton together, and that it will shortly be ready for public exhibition. Nashville orthopedician. Pretty crazy stuff. So yes, they were going to have it on display, but apparently the Smithsonian, and they were on display at one point in the past, yes, but eventually the Smithsonians, and so to speak, kind of took over, and the stuff was hidden. So God only knows what's going on and what research some of these elitists, the globalist type that were around even that long ago, who, obviously they didn't they didn't agree with Lincoln either, if you know what I mean, because he wanted to create the greenbacks. Yeah, who knows? Like, these kind of people basically have been trying to take over the world since basically the founding of the United States of America, unfortunately, because when do you think the Great Seal was made? With the unfinished pyramid and the cap of the pyramid with the all-seeing eye. 1776. Yeah, 1776. Yeah, when was the Illuminati founded? 1776. Yep, that sucks. So the devil was doing his part when God was doing his part, helping us found this country and freedom from England and all that, the Declaration of Independence. The devil was doing his work at the same time, which is unfortunate. Obviously, the God's going to win in the end. We all know that. It's like not even a question. But it's just fascinating to think about all that, how they would cover up things like this. This is obviously further proof about the Bible and eliminating evolution from any form of conversation. And that's one of the main reasons they want to cover this up, because they don't want man to believe in God. They want man to possibly go in a completely different direction. And eventually, maybe when beings like this can resurface with all this scientific crap and all this communication with these entities, these fallen entities, the fallen angels, the Nephilim fallen angels, and the creation of Rephaim giants and Nephilim giants and such. when all that kind of comes back together here in the end times, which is what we're in, basically, that it'll be more of a surprise for us and like, aha, but this is because, God basically turned his back on them and blah, blah, blah. They'll come up with some story, basically, that, Jesus is just another angel and stuff. I remember hearing that kind of stuff. That's what they go around telling people, these entities, like alien abductions and or history of all this other stuff going on. But it always fascinates me, the thought of, and that's why I created the new logo. I know I don't need to talk about it every single episode that I rebranded the show, more or less it just needed a new logo and everything, even though the old logo was fine. It needed a new logo, I made it for multiple reasons. Not because I'm not 1,000,000% American and support America and all that, but because, I don't know, the American flag isn't really necessarily a logo. It's the American flag, it's not a logo for a podcast. That's partially. This one is about thought, freedom of thought. Like, I can think maybe I don't agree with making a cake for two men to get married. I can, that's the political side, but I can also think that, gosh, what was here 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago? What was wandering around in this area? This park that I actually think may have been a shallow lake thousands of years in the past. But could giants have walked around here in the past? Could the Native Americans have been battling them in the past? Fascinating stories of Native Americans that, see, when you get the Christian conservative, open-minded Native Americans to get in a conversation like another Blurry Creatures or Confessionals episode, rather than the ones that just call us Bible thumpers and want us to go away. But when you get in a real conversation with the type that do believe in God and do believe in the one true God and Jesus, and they actually read the Bible and everything, you can get in a really heck of an interesting conversation, because there really were, there are ancient stories of battles with giants that the Native Americans had, and you always wonder, could it have happened here? There are other parts I think I talked about in a previous episode of, just thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of bones found in, like, I think it was around Arkansas, of a great battle that took place 4,000 years ago. And I said Arkansas, not Jericho, not Jericho, not, isn't that crazy? So just imagine some of that kind of stuff. It's insanely fascinating to think about that there were things going on. There were things going on here. There were civilizations here way before, we may have imagined. So obviously it's an unbelievable conversation. And that's really the meaning of freedom of thought. Obviously being able to think that we don't agree with this and don't agree with that, but at the same time, again, getting deep into thought of ancient history and such, and of what could be coming, as we head into the end times, which we're already in the end times, but now in like Revelation. I know we're not there yet. God's not pouring out the wrath at the moment. The angels aren't sounding their trumpets at the moment, that type of thing. We're not that far in, but we are in the last days. There's no doubt about that. And how the very device I'm holding right now as I'm recording this podcast can buy and sell items, and how it's just we're that close. There's like, something in this device could go in your body, just like the mark of the beast at some point, where you'd be able to buy and sell things. So it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. That's a new word. Yeah. Like incredible. It's crazy. It's fascinating. That kind of thing. So, that was on the Facebook page. I shared the Giants of America, that article from 1845 on the Facebook page. So, I'm following Haunted Cosmos. I was like, wait a minute, I'm not following them? Yes, I am. Yes, I am, which is a good thing. So, again, there's a reason, like the misty forest and all that, just thinking, what walked through here? Again, could it have been the 17th, could have been a Revolutionary War battle, like imagine you're out east, or, could there have been a great battle with the giants many years ago, or just Native American tribes battling each other hundreds of years ago, or hundreds of years ago, but thousands of years ago, could have been something much different. Something much, much different. Absolutely fascinating stuff dating back into biblical times. That's what I love. That's what I love about freedom of thought. That's what it's all about. I think it was last year, wasn't it? Wasn't it cold down on Easter? I think it was, and I did an episode and I actually did pretty well, surprisingly, even though it was a short little thing, and I repeated myself like "Happy Easter, Happy Easter, Happy Easter." Well, I'll probably do something like that again this year, like a week from today. But Happy Palm Sunday, Hosanna, yes, Hosanna, without a doubt. I have an imaginary palm tree or palm branch in my hand right now. Unfortunately, I don't have one at the moment, but I'm pretending. Yep, Hosanna, Hosanna. You know. Unfortunately, a lot of things turn so dramatically. Just a week later, it's just crazy. Just in a few days, not even a week, just a few days, how things changed so much, and all of that happened with obviously Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, and all of that. So it's incredible. So speaking of Peter, whoa! I almost shut things off here. I almost stopped recording. So. Speaking of Peter and the disciples and all that with Jesus, something interesting happened as well. I'm going to check something real quick. Well, yeah, it was a post. Yeah, I don't need to get into those at the moment, but I wish people responded, unfortunately. There was a small response, though, to the article. Andre, locally from Maranatha Christian Academy, 1 grade older than me, but we're almost the same age, just about, basically. He was asking, could it be aliens? And I was saying, more than likely Nephilim or Rephaim giants that escaped from Canaan thousands of years ago, or something even further back, like pre-Adam and Eve. It could have been even a civilization even further back. Who knows? But who knows? Because, I mean, we're talking 60 feet under, but that can also mean it might have been pre-flood, not necessarily pre-Adam and Eve, because 60 feet is a long, long way down. So maybe, yes, I'm pretty sure they were like the larger Nephilim giants versus the Rephaim giants around here. And yes, Pangea was still pretty much in play, at least I believe so, before the flood. It was in the days of Peleg, which is how many years or how many generations after Noah. Yeah, I always have to, it's a few. See, I look at those timelines and I just, my mind just wanders. I just love that, like the timeline from, say, from like Adam all the way up to like, say, Abraham. It's just fascinating. I have like several of them on my phone, but I mean, I keep I have so many other images that you can't find them. Adam to Noah, no, Adam to Abraham. Okay. And I can get the image. Yes. One I always like to look at. And it's just amazing how, when lifespans got shorter and shorter, certain people, like, say, Eber, outlived so many people. It's crazy. So, yes, there's Noah, so on and so forth. And then there was Eber. Eber would be Noah's great-great-grandson. And then Peleg, Peleg was the next one. So great-great-great-grandson. It was the days of Peleg, it says in Genesis. That's when the continents divided. So something took place around the days of Peleg. 1757 years after Adam, he was born, and he died in 1996. After Adam. Not the year the Bulls won 72 games. Or anything, the Chicago Bulls. Yep, not that year. Nope, it was 1996 after Adam. I'm just having fun with that. But yeah, so in those days, after Peleg, or during the life of Peleg, is when the continents divided. So that might be, I don't know, but I'm guessing it was probably that 18-foot giant. I'm guessing that one went back before the flood. When the earth was really, 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 really chaotic and those monsters were literally eating human beings. But, oh yeah, that stuff was happening as well after the flood. At least I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we'll get into that, Lovelock Cave, the Native Americans and the Giants. I have the book. I need to read it. And the more reading I do of that, the more conversating I will be talking about bits and pieces, or maybe tons of it, who knows, on this show. Obviously not plagiarizing, because I'm going to say the name of the book and the author. That's not plagiarizing if you say this person wrote this. That's not plagiarizing. So, if anything, it's saying, yeah, this is really interesting. Go buy it. It's the opposite. It's like a free plug. So, was there something else? Yes, of course. This was on this Pope that we all wonder, what kind of Pope are we talking about here? Pope Francis's birthday, December 17th. Lightning struck a statue of St. Peter on Pope Francis's birthday. And it was very interesting. So this was like very end of 2023 here, right before Christmas. So the statue had what looks like kind of a halo around Peter's head and a very large key in what would be his right hand. And then after the strike, the hand was basically burned and the key is gone. And the halo is gone. Weird. It's almost like the expression on Peter's face looks different. Very strange. Am I crazy or what? Probably not. It probably isn't. But interesting, though, how the key got broken off. Like, yeah, because this was right around the same time. I believe it might have been the same day that basically, like, Catholics were like, yeah, this whole gay thing is okay. That was like with Pope, like the Pope Francis being super woke and all that. So that's when they were completely happy and satisfied with gay marriage and all of that. And it happened right about this. I believe it may have been the same day, if I remember correctly. That's what was being talked about. This was on Freedom of Thought, Freedom of Thought. The Final Hour podcast. Yes, the Final Hour podcast. They talked about this, and it's absolutely fascinating that all this kind of happened at the same time. It happened to be on Pope Francis' birthday as well. That this could happen. Like it's not a coincidence. Like, how could that be a coincidence? That sounds like God. Like he's like, yeah, he's angry. Like, you're making a mockery of, you leader of the Catholic Church. You call yourself the Pope or whatever. You're making a mockery of the Bible. You're making a mockery of God. And yeah, that's kind of like a statement there. So it's pretty fascinating how the key's missing. Almost like, yeah, you've lost the key now, basically. Ooh, so that's pretty crazy when you think about that. So that's kind of where we're caught up at the moment. There were no comments on the Instagram, which is freedom_of_thought1776, facebook.com/freedom of thought 1776. The Twitter or X is freedom of thou 76. So do look those up. They're all in the show description. There's also a link where you could support the show, and if you could, I'd really appreciate it. Where you make a one-time donation, a monthly donation. There's a choice, as low as 99 cents. It might even be able to be lower than 99, but I think that's the minimum. Even 99 cents. If you could, that'd be a great help. The microphone's beat up. It still works just fine, but it's getting beat up and all of that. So, and how computers get old, you eventually got to replace them, this and that. So, you have to replace things. The other laptop I had years ago, it completely died on me in the middle of a show. Like, what do you think of that? Like, I'd been recording, I had stopped, I was trying to save, and then the thing started spinning and spinning and spinning, and then bloop, and that was the end. Wonderful. Absolutely spectacular. So that's kind of what took place there. So, yeah, like that's where financial help could really be a boost to this show. Maybe get things going, get some more components to actually have like maybe better audio and such, a studio and such. Now I'm going to do mobile episodes like this at times as well for, the way it is. But obviously it's just the way things are set up, the way I live right now. Sometimes I need sometimes I need to be kind of mobile to do the episode just because like I can't do it there. So just can't at the moment. So that's kind of how things are going there. Now that I've babbled enough, maybe to a point that you're losing interest in the show, and I apologize. Just want to thank anyone and everyone for listening. Please tell your friends about the show. Please do. Please help the algorithms with the show, liking it on YouTube, liking it on which my face isn't on YouTube, but it's like audio podcasts and such. But yeah, simply liking it, maybe even commenting, have something to say. You can also do, what is it on Spotify? If you happen to use that, there's kind of like what do you think of the show type of, it's like a general question. You can comment, you could say anything. You could talk about Joe Biden. You could talk about the statue of St. Peter being struck. You could talk about the Pope. You could talk about giants. You could talk about Jesus. Yes, talk about anything. So, that's kind of what it is. That's kind of what the show's all about, and I'd love to interact with you. Donna Aspinwall, not too long ago, put in a comment asking about the VP for Trump, like the running mate. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you again. I know she listens, a old dear friend from a previous job. It was, I really enjoyed working with her. From lives in Champlin, right? Yep, lives in Champlin. I keep getting Coon Rapids and Champlin mixed up. I don't know what's up with that, but that's just how I am. I'm weird sometimes. But again, if you could out there, again, anybody, like the YouTube page had a bit of a facelift today. New logo, paladinolive Productions. It's like at paladinolive basically, and I believe there's a link in the show description as well to get to the YouTube page. Yeah, subscribe there. And I probably will do some videos sometimes. I just haven't been doing them, but I probably will sometimes. Not necessarily recording podcasts, but like a video podcast, maybe like a short one, like, oh, look at this, or something like that. So, especially for this show, why the heck not, right? With that said, again, thank you for listening so much. Again, the positive ratings on Apple Podcasts and such, 5-star ratings on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Please do that. Those of you that have done it, I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Anybody else willing to do so, please do. Please do. With that said, have yourself a wonderful week or so. Hopefully I'll be back on Easter, and we'll wish you a happy Easter and have some other new things to say. Until then, take care, and God bless the United States of America.